Okay, if we could have your attention, please. We are now joined by our third place finisher, Joey Logano, driver of the number 22, Shell Pennzoil Ford. Joey, congratulations on a great run out there. You're now sitting in 8th place, heading into the final cutoff race in this current round. So just talk a little bit about your race this afternoon and your thoughts heading into Talladega.
Yeah, we came out swinging. What we had was what we had to do. We did everything we were supposed to do today. Our team executed perfectly, so I'm proud of our pit stops, our adjustments, our restarts. Just needed a little bit more speed. That was probably the biggest thing. We were a little bit off on the short run, and after 15 laps or so, we were as good as anybody, but we weren't better than them, so we couldn't make up what we were losing on the restart. So, we made up a lot of points, just not enough. It is not comfortable. Austin and I are tied for next week, so that'll be fun. And overall, I'm proud of the effort and the job we did today. But we wanted to win, but we did everything we're supposed to do.
Okay, we'll open up for questions for Joey. If you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. We'll start here with Pat.
Pat DeCole at NASCAR.com. Joey, 8th is a pretty interesting position to be in going to Talladega. How do you balance going for the win or balancing, racing for points?
I race for the win. That's the way I race. I don't know a different way to race, so that's probably the route I'm going to go. I'm sure we'll talk about it this week, but I'm a racer.
Additional questions for Joey? Okay, we'll go to Randy here in the middle.
Hey, Joey, Randy Kovitz, Kansas City Star. So, yeah, you made up some points today, which was good from where you were, but his third never felt so disappointing because it's a good finish, but you're 8th in the, you're just barely above the cutoff.
Yeah, the big thing that swung everything around is Kevin winning. We would have been in pretty good shape if he finished second today. But not a surprise. They usually, when it comes to these situations, they usually find a little bit more speed somewhere in their race cars. I don't know how, but when they're in must-win situations, they seem to find a little bit more speed, which is always interesting to me, that they have a little bit left in the tank. But for us, that's like you said, it's not disappointing because we still should be proud of the effort that we had today. But it would have been a lot different if he finished second. And it may have happened, too, if, Kyle and Carl were racing the crap out of each other in front of me. And I probably held them up enough. I thought Carl was a faster car. I probably could have gone down there and beat the 4 at the end of the race. But they were racing each other pretty hard earlier in that run, which set them back a little bit.
Any final questions for Joey? All right, Joey, thank you for coming in. Good luck next week.
Great. Thanks.
Okay, we are now joined by our 6th place finisher, Austin Dillon, driver of the number 3 Dow Coates Materials Chevrolet for Rodney Childers Racing, and also Carl Edwards, our runner-up finisher, driver of the number 19 XFINITY Toyota. So, gentlemen, congratulations on a great race. If we could just start with Austin. You're now just 1 place back behind the top 8 heading into the cutoff at Talladega next week. Just share a little bit about your race this afternoon and your thoughts heading into next weekend.
Yeah, it was a solid race for our team. Childers Chevrolet, it started out okay, and we made some adjustments to make it better. We tried something there with 2 tires and just didn't have the speed there. I got tight and then started getting really free. So luckily the caution came out. We were able to get 4 and had a really solid restart at the end and gained a few spots. And I felt like we were running down most of the guys in front of us. I got to Kyle at the end on the last lap, but just need 1 more spot to be ahead of Joey, but I think we're tied, but he gets the tiebreaker. So it's a good spot for us to be in going into Talladega. We have nothing to lose, and I'm proud of our team just giving ourselves this chance. So I'm very optimistic and look forward to racing hard at Talladega.
Thank you. This is Carl's 13th top 10 finish in 19 races at Kansas Speedway. So, Carl, if you could just talk a little bit about what it means to have such a strong showing in front of your hometown crowd.
That's the good part. We ran well, and that was really fun, getting to race up front. It is really tough for me to finish second here. It's happened twice. Both of them are pretty painful, but the bright side is that, yes, we raced up front. Got a lot of support from a lot of people here, and hopefully they enjoyed that part of it. That last restart, Kevin and Jimmy just lined up on the bottom, and they just got far enough ahead. I couldn't hang on the outside, and then I ended up having to race Kyle really hard there for a few laps, and it let Kevin get out ahead. So, but man, it's just we'll just move forward. Day or two will pass, and maybe the sting will wear off, and I'll be more excited about the point situation going into Talladega, because that's the bright side. We've got two decent races under our belt to go to Talladega with.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll start here again with Pat.
This one's for Carl from Pat Cole at NASCAR.com. You had some pretty good back and forth there with Kyle towards the end of the race. You guys both want to win, obviously, but where is the thought process there where the consequences are so bad if a mistake happens?
I honestly wasn't thinking about any consequences. I knew if I could clear Kyle quickly, I could maybe catch Kevin, and that's where I was at. My car was faster than Kyle's. He was good there for a lap or two, and then I felt like I was quite a bit faster, so I just needed to get by him. But he was doing his job. He was racing as hard as he could, and we didn't wreck each other. So I mean, that's racing. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
I wish you would have got by him faster. Wish Kyle would have let him go.
Okay, we'll take our next question here on the left.
Joe Waljasper from the Columbia Tribune. Carl, do you think you did have the car to catch Kevin if you didn't kind of get stuck in that battle with Kyle there?
Yeah, I felt like we did. I felt like we had the fastest car there at the end. And that's what's frustrating. You should win with the fastest car, especially when you start on the front row. So, I take responsibility for that. I could have done something different on that restart, possibly hung on, and I wouldn't have been in that position. But, man, I raced as hard as I could all day, and, we didn't make hardly any mistakes. So, we can keep our heads up. And like Dave said after the race, that's the most speed we've had in a mile and a half in a long time, and that bodes well for the rest of the year. Texas and Homestead. We really believe if we can get to Homestead, we can win this championship.
Okay, we'll take our next question up front and then go over to Kenny.
Sean Roney, Dos Mundos bilingual newspaper for Carl. In the one of the radio, muy bien. Anyway, in one of the radio pre-race broadcasts, they're talking about the effects of the weather on the conditions, because you've got about a 20-degree spike from yesterday.
Right.
In what ways did racing in about 80-degree weather with basically a clear sky affect how you approach this race?
I don't know if Austin backed me up on this, but I think the track was completely different. It's like we left and went somewhere else. I mean, you drive down to turn 3 today and just slide, and it was really slick, and it was actually a lot of fun. There was one point where I was racing, I caught Chase Elliott and Kevin, and I think maybe even Jimmy was up there, and I thought, man, this is a blast. We're really racing. Cars are sliding around and spinning tires, and that was really fun. So I was glad that the weather came. So thanks, Pat, for making that happen today. Yep.
Go ahead, Kenny.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com for Austin and for Carl. I hate to ask about the guy that won the race, but I'm going to ask about him anyway. What is it about that team, not just Kevin in particular, but the team itself, that they always seem to be able to pull one out of the hat when they need it the most?
I think as the drivers, we just all need to get together and block winners at elimination race, or just pull for something, because he's tough to beat on those final races. I mean, there's no doubt about it. He steps up when the pressure's there, and that team does a good job. And Joey said it, I think, best. They're able to reach in their back pocket and get speed when they want it. It's mind-blowing. So it's hard to see it, but Kevin's also a good finisher. He's always been that way. Look back at all of his careers, he can finish off races.
Yeah, they did a good job today. I mean, I don't think they had the fastest car, and they made it happen. So, congrats to them.
Additional questions for Austin or Carl? Okay, we'll go over here to Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports for Austin. I know it worked out okay, but when they did the two-tire stop and put you in the lead, did you have any concern after what happened at Charlotte?
I had no really concern, but I mean, I was more concerned at Charlotte than I was here, because I knew that 2 tires, as far as firing off, was going to be okay through the gears, and Allmendinger and a couple of them did it and fired off and ran third there for a while. So our car, we never put 2 tires on in practice or anything, and I went down into I made it through the first lap, and I went into turn 1 and third, and right front just plowed on exit, and I about got run over actually off of 2. So we didn't have the balance for that, and our car didn't have enough speed for that. So it was worth a shot. You know, if we could have maybe cleared Carl somehow and just ran up there for like 2 laps until, you know, everything's got settled, we would have probably net gained. And we ended up finishing about where we were going to finish anyways because we got 4 tires on the next one. It made us make a decision to come get 4, drag people down, and we ran up to where we were probably going to finish.
It seems like you guys, since Dover, just had something, more speed. Is it handling? Is it horsepower? How have you guys been able to raise your game the last few races? I
think it's a little bit of everything. We kind of got lost in the middle of the year and got back everything kind of more consistent, and we've gained some speed at RCR, and we're working hard as a group, and that's what it is. It's a little bit of everything put together will make your cars faster. It's not just one thing, and everybody wants it. That's another big part of it. We got a lot of focus on that 3 car right now, and that's big.
Plus the beard helps, right?
Yeah.
The beard.
Yeah, the playoff beard.
Okay, we'll take our next question in the back and then come back up to Randy.
Hi, Carl. This is for you. Just caught the tail end of this, so I apologize. But just the emotion you feel of coming so close here again.
Rather not talk about that. No, I
got you.
It's tough. I mean, this is there's so many people that come to this racetrack that support me and have supported me, not just, you know, when I'm racing here, but at, you know, Capitol Speedway and Holt Summit and Callaway Raceway and Godfrey and all these places that I raced growing up. So it's a really special place for me, and as much fun as I had racing up front, yeah, it stings. There are negative emotions tied to not winning here with that fast of a car, but that's the way it goes.
Carl,
Go ahead, Randy.
Yeah, Carl, Randy Covert's Kansas City Star, not to pile on,
but you're going to. That's great.
Have you ever had, during those last 40, 50 laps when you had the lead,
Yeah.
have you ever had a race where you really thought you had won and didn't?
Yeah, this one today, I was pretty sure we were in control of the race. I felt really good about it. And then also that race here in, I think it was 2008 with Jimmy, I felt like we were really in control of that one, and we let that one go too. So, you know, these I remember more just because they are so special. Fortunately, we get to race here twice now every year, so I cannot wait to come back. I wish we could line the cars up again right now and go, but I'll wait. And, you know, just like anything, you learn from your wins, but you probably learn more from your defeats. So I'm going to go back and look at that restart, learn what I can do, and you know, maybe at Homestead I can use this for something positive.
Any final questions? Okay, gentlemen, thank
Thanks,
you
guys.
for your time. Good luck next week. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, if we could have your attention, please. We are now joined by our winners of the 16th Annual Hollywood Casino 400, driver Kevin Harvick, driver of the number 4 Outback Chevrolet for Stewart-Haas Racing, crew chief Rodney Childers, and team owner Gene Haas. So, gentlemen, congratulations. This is Kevin's 35th victory in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and the team's 4th victory and 23rd top 10 in 2016. So if we could just start with Kevin, talk a little bit about your race this afternoon and how it feels to be locked into the next round.
Yeah, we had a lot of things going on in the race today. We started off well, and our car would fall off a little bit more than some of the other cars, but it seemed like that kind of played into our hands as we got towards the end of the race with a half a run there. I think that the last restart obviously was the key to getting into victory lane. I think, for me, looking in the mirror, knowing we were clear, we just needed to get as far out as we could because I felt like the car was going to drop off. It didn't really drop off the last time out just because of track position, but I knew there was a couple cars back there that had taken tires. I guess that was the 18 behind me that had some speed, but I felt like we could have maintained that gap pretty easily. But I didn't really know exactly where our car was going to go based on what had happened during the day, but clean air really made a big difference for us.
Okay, and if we could, Rodney, when the pressure's on, this team always seems to find success. If you could just talk a little bit about that and how you're feeling heading into Talladega.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think a lot of that comes from Kevin. It feeds down through him as far as being confident and being determined and working hard and and then that comes down through me and then our shop foreman and our car chief. And, you know, we're just fortunate to have a lot of guys that won't quit. You know, they don't take no for an answer. They don't care how many hours they work. They don't care what they have to do. They just try to make it happen. And it's cool to be in that environment and be around people like that. It's something that we all hope that we can do sometime in our lifetime. And but it definitely feels good to get out of here and be able to go to Talladega and not worry about things and just go back to the shop and work on our Martinsville car and Phoenix car and Texas cars. So really happy to be in victory lane for sure.
And Gene, as Rodney touched on, obviously a lot of success with this number 4 team. If you could just share your thoughts on what that means for your organization.
Well, you know, obviously last week was you know, it was a disappointment in the sense that you know, we had a mechanical failure, but you know, those things happen, and that's one thing exciting about this chase format is that you never know, you know, when your number's going to get pulled. And I think we were pretty nervous, you know, going into Talladega next week. And you know, when you get behind a little bit, you know, you got all of a sudden you get down to a win or go home. That makes for excitement. So obviously, we're glad we don't have to have that excitement at Talladega. So now we can focus on getting Kurt Busch, you know, into the next round. And it's awesome because next week is our debut at the Austin Formula One race. So having a win on our backs, you know, going into a Formula One race is going to feel good.
Okay, if you have a question, please raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. We'll start with Randy and then go over to Kenny and Pat.
Hey, Kevin, Randy Kovitz, Kansas City Star. Gene just kind of touched on it, but when you look at the last 2 weeks, and they might have been aberrations, but Dover and Charlotte sitting there 12th in these points. Just where was your head? Where was your mind coming into here?
I have no idea where we were in the points or how many we were behind. The only thing we talked about was trying to figure out how to win this race, and if we didn't win this race, what we needed to do at Talladega. You know, I think for us, it's always about reaching for something to motivate us. You know, if it's having to win a race, you know, going to a racetrack you haven't won at, whatever, having rebounded from a bad week. You know, we've been fortunate to be on the good side of this deal for 3 years now, and we know we can perform. We know we can perform in good and bad situations, and that's not something that we really even talk about because we've already done all that. So we just have to try to prepare and comb through all the information and watch the past races and try to make good decisions throughout the weekend. And you know, we had a fast car, and I tried to crash it yesterday, but you know, that was really, that's what you have to do. You have to be aggressive, and that's like what Gene said. You know, the unique part about this chase is people who can win can take advantage of rebounding and mechanical failures, because things are going to happen. Things are going to break. You're going to have issues, and you got to be able to rebound from them. So that's just a credit to the whole organization and the things that they do to put these race cars on the racetrack. And I'm just a fortunate guy that gets to drive them, and just having a lot of fun being a part of a team like this, because you know, we could say that we needed to go jump off a cliff in the morning, and everybody'd be there at sunrise and say, all right, where do we jump? And that's just the type of group that it is. Everybody's got each other's back, and you know, nobody takes offense to somebody telling them that they need to do something better or see something better, and it's just a unique bunch of people, and you're only as good as the people that you have around you, and that's true in every business, and it's no different in this garage.
Okay, we'll go next to Kenny, Pat, and then up to the press box.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. Kevin, you touched on this a little bit, and Rodney did too, but why is it, obviously you guys don't want to be in a position where you have to win, but why is it when you guys are in those situations, you seem to be able to come through?
Yeah, if you can't win, you won't win. You won't win one of these championships. You'll get to Homestead, and you might point your way in, but there'll be a car that shows up there that's going to win the race and going to win the championship. You know, there's going to be a scenario that pops up through the years. But we've never approached any race as a points race. That's just, he didn't want to hear anything about points before we started this deal, and I'm like, okay, well, that's a new approach for me. Usually you go home and you look at the point standing and say, oh, it was a pretty good week. If we don't win, it's not a good week. And, you know, it's something to where we don't get mad about it, but we try to take away, okay, why did we not win this race when we were in position to win this race? And you know, the good part about it is, do I feel like we had the best car today? Probably not. Do we have the best car at Loudon? Probably not, but guess what? We kept ourselves in it all day. We had good pit stops. We just made good adjustments on the car, and then it came down to, you know, a good restart, and our car was way better when we got out front. So, you know, it's good to, you know, feel like you probably didn't have the fastest car and win the race, because I felt like, you know, I think we've felt like a lot of times we've had the fastest car but and didn't win the race. So it's good to get a few of those back. And, you know, but I think a lot of those times are, you know, you take pieces and things away from those events and try to make things better. So, you know, we've won 2 races in the chase. I feel like both of those have been won on restarts, and that's something that we've worked on for probably a year now to get better at. I needed to do a better job. We needed to change some things around, and you know, so that feels good, and that's just the type of situation that it comes down to is, you know, when we get behind on something, we just dive right into that and try to make it better.
Go ahead, Pat.
Pat to go on NASCAR.com for Rodney. Where you guys don't maybe necessarily need to put as much focus on Talladega now, what does that offer you guys in terms of preparation for the next round?
Well, you always want to go win a race, but on the other hand, you can't control it, you know, and you know, our focus is going to be on Martinsville and moving forward. You know, we've got nice stuff to take to Talladega. We were planning on going down there to maybe have to win the race there. So, you know, we'll definitely go down there and race hard. It's just nice to be able to focus on the weeks going forward. You know, this past week was rough on the whole race team, to be honest, and let those guys go see their kids and their families a few nights is going to be, you know, mean a lot to them, and everybody catch their breath and get ready for Martinsville.
Okay, we'll go up to the press box for a question.
Lee Spencer, motorsport.com. I have a question for Kevin and then a question for Gene. Kevin, NASCAR's put a lot of emphasis on the youth market, but at 40, you look to be on top of your game. Can you just kind of say what the years, what the experience gives you on the track when you're racing against the competition?
Yeah, I think experience in our sport is much different than other sports because, you know, my eyes don't work as good as they used to, and my reflexes might not be as good, but they're still not bad. You know, I think, you know, being able to communicate with your race team and sit in there and talk through some things and try to give them a ballpark of what you think and then let them go from there, you know, definitely has more weight than probably a lot of other sports. I think Peyton Manning, you look at him, he was a very good example of that. He didn't have the, you know, the most strength or power left in his arm, but he had the best thoughts and strategies and things to approach defenses and preparation, and it got him through, you know, in the end. So, you know, I think for a lot of the young guys, you know, I think Chase is doing a good job in his situation. He's got a championship team, crew chief that have come in and really helped him progress through a lot of things. But there's really still nothing that you can replace experience, especially winning experience, with inside the car.
And for Gene, can you just kind of assess your first season in Formula One, and with the driver market kind of heating up, do you expect to stay the course with Gutierrez and Grosjean?
Well, you know, I think we've done spectacular in terms of, you know, previous teams' attempts to, in Formula One, and I think a lot of that goes to you know, myself, Gunther, and Joe Custard, when we set out to put the Formula One team together, you know, we were really there to race as opposed to, you know, try to be the traditional constructor. So I think so far our business models worked really well. As far as drivers, you know, we've alluded that, you know, Grosjean, because of his contract, will be back next year. And with Esteban, I mean, he's a great driver, but, you know, we haven't really announced anything yet because there's no real reason to. And, you know, we'll just kind of see how things, you know, go forward and what happens. But
at the moment, we're kind of, we feel good with our current drivers, but like I say, we haven't definitively said whether Esteban is the driver for next year or not, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he won't be either.
Okay, we'll take our next question in the back from Jason.
Hi, Kevin. Jason from Fox 4 here in Kansas City. Boy, it sure looked like Carl Edwards might be on his way to his first victory here at what he considers his home track. Well, what was the key, I guess, to your restart? I mean, you said you've been working on them, and it's just it sounds real simple. But was there any magic? I mean, any trick to the?
I think the key to the restart is just timing. The rest of it we'll keep to ourselves. I think that the timing was pretty good, and I was able to keep the 48 behind me. He was right next to my bumper, and there was nobody behind the 19. That was really the key to the restart. Was he had a car length between him once we got to the start-finish line from the fourth place car, and he didn't have anybody to carry that momentum down there. And then the second piece was just being able to clear him and break that side draft to keep, and we were able to just drive off because they kept side by side, and that was really what allowed us to get out front.
Any additional questions? Okay, gentlemen, thank you for your time. Congratulations.
Sorry? Oh, John, I've seen you. Sounds familiar. 47 years. Yeah. The person had gone.